If moving to Albuquerque has always been on your radar and you're not too sure why it's become so popular in the past couple of years, well, I'm here to tell you that I created a little bit of a list that should help clarify some things. So in today's video, we're going to be getting into that. So grab your pen and your pad and let's go. Well, believe it or not, a ton of people are moving down here because New Mexico is centrally located to a bunch of major states, right? You have Texas, Colorado, Arizona, and Utah. And it being maybe 16 hours away, 12 hours away from California, it still makes a ton of sense for a bunch of people just to move down here and travel to these other states. And with the two major freeways just cross-hairing here in Albuquerque, it makes that much more sense for you to live here in Albuquerque if you are planning on traveling to these other states. And a ton of people are doing that because they either have family in Texas that they would love to see, and it's a lot closer than what California is, or they have family out in Colorado, and you know, it's those kinds of things. And with New Mexico being still super affordable than our surrounding neighboring states, it just makes that much more sense to come and live down here. And I'm super excited that you guys are here, and if this is your first time tuning into the Living in Albuquerque channel, welcome. My name is Eli. Do yourself a huge favor and hit that subscribe and notification bell down at the bottom. That way you guys never miss out on any videos, because I am dropping videos every week talking about what our beautiful state of New Mexico and surrounding cities here in Albuquerque have to offer. Now, aside from doing these videos, guys, I just got to be honest, I am a licensed broker, and as much as I love doing these videos, I would love to help you out with your real estate needs. So that number popping up on the screen is my direct line. If you are planning on moving down here within the next 30, 60, or 90 days, guys, I'd love to hop on a quick Zoom call with you guys to really discuss all the different areas that you're looking at in terms of moving down to Albuquerque or New Mexico. That way we can help you make the best decision. So let's head into this next topic. Now, another great reason for people to move down here is because we're less populated than some of these other major areas around us. Now, as far as a metro city goes, we only have less than about 1 million people that are living here right now currently, maybe just a little bit over that within the past year, just because of the influx of people that are starting to move here. But in comparison to other cities where it's almost 2 to 3 million, which is double of the people, you can feel that. When people move down here, they feel how open the roads are, how less traffic there is, how less congested it is, and how easy just navigating through the city it's going to be. So no more days of spending hours in traffic, you know, stuck just commuting to work, and there's really nothing going on. It's just a bunch of people trying to get home. Here in Albuquerque, we really only have 2 peak times of traffic that you can expect, and that's early in the morning when people are going to work, and then also in the evening when people are heading home. And that's usually heading away from the west side and going back to the west side. If you're going in opposite directions during those times, you can best believe that there's not going to be any traffic. So keeping that in mind, it really just makes a ton of sense for people to move down here, because they can take a stroll down, you know, one of the parks and there hardly be any people. You know, there's a bunch of introverted people that are moving here. So if you are an introvert, you know, Albuquerque may be a best fit for you. If you are an extrovert, don't worry. We do have enough things to sustain your type of living, because we understand that being social and getting out is super important to you, right? And that lower population density doesn't mean that there's not going to be people here. There's a ton of people here, and there's enough people here to where you're going to just be able to take care of that itch as far as being social and going out and mingling with people. And with talking about people and population, guys, this next topic is going to be the vibe. I've had a ton of people just tell me, like, the vibe down here is like good. It feels liberating. It feels free. It feels like they finally took a weight off of their shoulders and that they can finally breathe some fresh air. And that's just, you know, simple nuances. That's not even coming down and, you know, mingling with people, finding your group, and really getting inducted into this circle of people that you would have never even expected that would be hanging out. Because to be honest with you, you know, there's so much craziness going on outside of our worlds that sometimes when we create these little groups of just people that are like-minded, right? Don't even got to look like one another, but are like-minded, it just brings in this sense of, I don't know, kind of like deep connections, freedom, and healing for a lot of people, right? For a lot of people that are moving down here, they're moving away from busy situations, you know, moving away from states that, you know, brought a ton of trouble to them. So it's a whole new chapter that they're starting. And maybe that's you, right? Maybe you're moving down here because you're starting a whole new chapter. You're leaving an old life behind. And if you do need some help with that, I got to remind you that number popping up on the screen is my direct line. Feel free to hit me up. That way we can chat about all this and talk about what you could possibly be looking for when it comes down to moving to New Mexico. But let's head into this next topic. Let's keep the vibe going. Now, along with the vibe, man, Albuquerque must be a very vibey city because our outdoors, our lifestyle in that, there's other states that can compete because they're super polarizing. But in my opinion, guys, we have so much to offer all within this confined space that you only really need to travel maybe an hour outside of Albuquerque to change it up into this whole forestry kind of rivers and all that stuff, right? And even within the city, if you go down to the Bosque, you're gonna have this sense of like being in a forest. It's weird, like being in a city and, traveling through the Bosque filled with cottonwood trees and the river's right next to you. It really displaces you from this whole city vibe. So not only do we have this cool and chill vibe with the people and this, relaxed vibe, but we also have this outdoorsy vibe that a ton of people forget about. And maybe it's because we are evolving as a city and growing, that sometimes that outdoor aspect, we kind of forget that it's there, especially me. I know sometimes that as a local living here for, over 30 years, I forget how much outdoor beauty we have, from the East Mountains that are super easily accessible to, going to the back of the East Mountains to the San Diego Crest, things like that. I really forget that we have them here. And then, 45 minutes to an hour away from Jemez, traveling to Santa Fe, 3 hours from Taos and Red River and the Enchanted Circle. And if you guys don't know about the Enchanted Circle, that's something that you guys need to hit me up about because it's so beautiful and so picturesque that people actually travel from all over the United States, even the world, I've heard, just to go and just to even take pictures of this place during the fall, just because it really gets on fire. And when photographers say that it gets on fire in autumn, that means that the leaves are changing or something crazy like that, whatever terminologies that they use nowadays. But really, guys, just reminding ourselves that our climate here allows for us to live that amazing outdoor lifestyle, that we have so much diversity in whatever we choose to do, whether we want to kayak the Rio Grande or we want to hike through the Sandias. We're going to be able to do that pretty much year round. Now, is there some days where the weather is not going to be ideal? Of course, I'm not going to sit here and say that New Mexico is perfect. But what I am going to say is that, 300 days out of the, 365 that we get within a year, you're pretty much going to be spending it outside. Now, another important topic to bring up, because it always is a topic of conversation, is the cost of living here. Now, I've had so many different videos on this, but it's always good to refresh people, especially if you're new to the channel, because the cost of living situation here is very appealing, right? We're 6%, almost 7% lower than the national average. I've seen some websites say that we're even, more than that when it comes to national average and affordability and cost of living. And of course, because I'm in real estate, the average housing price here falls around that $350,000 area. And that's a pretty decent home. You're looking at, a 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,500 square feet. Of course, the more you spend, you are going to get, different amenities and all that deal. And all just depending on the neighborhood and area. And keep in mind, the landmarkers that are going to really drive price here in Albuquerque are going to be the river, the petroglyphs, and the mountains. So the closer you are to those things, the more you can potentially pay for a house. Now, that doesn't mean that there isn't any houses, below that average price range, because there is a ton of great houses and we sell them all day. So we'd love to help you guys out with that. And really, if you are looking to rent, because it is a big thing for people to kind of get a feel for what's going on here, kind of get a job and all that stuff, $1,300 is about the average of what you'll pay for a house here for rent. And then for groceries and stuff like that, you are spending an average of $300 a week. Depending on how many kiddos you have, you may spend a little bit more. If you don't got any kiddos, or if you're just living the single life, you may spend a little bit less, just depending on how good you are with your money and budgeting, and if you are shopping at Sprouts and Whole Foods and Trader Joe's and all that stuff, right? Because we have a ton of them here, and the whole natural kind of farm stand, holistic living thing here is actually a thing. So you can buy all your fresh produce here locally, all your fresh meats, all your fresh anything, really, guys. So if you are that type of person that just likes to eat super clean, there's a big community around that, especially with all the farmers markets that we have basically every weekend, especially now during the spring and the summer, sometimes in the fall and sometimes in the winter, just really depending on the weather and stuff like that. But again, the climate conversation, 300 plus sunny days, more than likely every weekend there is going to be a farmers market going on here in Albuquerque. Alrighty guys, so we talked about, being centrally located here and some interesting facts on why people are specifically moving here. Some things you probably would have never even thought about. Maybe you thought about cost of living and what it costs to live here and what you could expect, and you really just didn't know, like, hey, could I even afford to live down there on, this type of salary? And I'm here to tell you that the average person here in New Mexico makes around $50,000 to $60,000, and they live a pretty comfortable life. But aside from all this great facts, guys, I got to remind you that as licensed brokers, me and my team are ready to help you guys out with that move. And if you are planning on moving down here this year, that number popping up on the screen is my direct line. And as much as I love doing these videos, I would love to help you out with your real estate needs. So feel free to reach out. I am the one that answers all the calls, texts, and emails. And I'd love to hop on that quick Zoom call with you guys to really give you a full detailed breakdown of what to expect when you're moving down here to Albuquerque. I hope you have a great weekend. We'll catch you guys next week. Peace.